Okay, so once you've loaded up your file or your project, you'll be greeted with this screen. This is the Unreal Engine display. At the top here, as you would be familiar with other programs, you get your file, your editor, your window, and your help thing. This is all your documentation, tutorials. This is basically what is in your community tab here. So you'll see a lot of stuff in the help menu that's all in here as well. In your modes tab, you'll have things that you can place, so just basic actors, the light actors, visual effects. We'll go through all these at some point. Your paint, landscape layers is something else we'll go through, foliage for the landscape, another thing we'll go through, and geometry editing. We'll go through them at some point to later tutorials. Across the top bar here is your little shortcut things for saving. Do not forget this button. I cannot iterate how important it is to consistently save and save and save. Unreal Engine has a tendency to crash at very odd moments doing different things, so remember that button is there and press it as often as you can. Source control we're not going to touch. Content, that just opens the content browser, which is down here. We'll go through that in a sec. The marketplace, which opens up the marketplace, which is here in the Epic launcher. Your settings, so this just brings up games, world settings, project settings, things like that. You can change the scalability settings, so if you've not got a really fantastic computer, like personally I keep it on just higher settings, so everything's a little bit scaled down from what the Epic would be. Epic is basically, everything up as high as it can go, but if your computer's not that great, drop it down to a high, maybe even medium if you have to, low if completely necessary. Personally I'll keep it at high myself. Blueprints, so this is where you can open up your level blueprints, which we'll go through again. You can start a new empty class. We'll go through that at some point. Cinematics, which is for matinees, which we'll go through again. And your build settings, so you can build the lighting. Again, something else we'll go through. And your play button, which will actually show you what it does right now. So this is a level that has come with the starter content, the third-person blueprint. And this is just to show you what is possible on a simple aspect. So if you push play, it'll start the game in the editor screen, and you can walk around, push space to jump, use your mouse to look around, and it's very basic, but it's a good starting point. So you push escape to escape from that, and then you've got your launch tab, which launches the game as a game. It doesn't launch it as a preview or anything like that. It launches it as a full game, as if you were actually playing it properly. We won't go through that right now, but down the bottom here you get the content browser. If it's like this, there's a little button here that says show or hide the sources panel. Now personally I like to have this open because this gives you the ability to have everything organized in a much better way. So your content folder is the base of it all, so everything goes underneath the content browser. Everything has to go into the content browser, or else the game might not be able to pick it up and see what it is. Things that you start with is usually geometry, mannequin, third person, and third person blueprint. The starter content is that tab that we were talking about when we open the file, and it comes in with all this stuff like architecture. So you've got a floor, you've got a pillar, you've got a wall with a doorway, you got a proper wall with different sizes. Good starting points that you can just start placing and dropping in the level and start building things with. It can work out for you if that's what you want to do. And you got some audios, there's just little bits and pieces in here, and then blueprints, which we'll go through later on. Materials, particles, props, all that good stuff. So continuing on with the content browser, you can import into the content browser wherever you have selected, and you push import. Whatever you go to import will go to wherever you have selected. So if you've got the starter content selected and you click here, then it'll put it into this. If you have starter content architecture, it'll put it into here. Alright, pretty simple. A save all button, so all your assets and anything you've made any changes will save here. When you push this save button, all it really does is save saves the current level to disk. So anything you've put into the level, it will save that and any assets that have been modified. If you've modified an asset just in the content browser and haven't put it into the world, I'm fairly certain that it won't actually save it, so that when you go to exit, it will ask you if you want to save those selected actors or whatever they are. So a good thing to get into the habit of is just to, instead of just going save, is file, save all, or even just Control S does the same thing. So that's the content browser. Over here you have your details tablet and your world settings. Now world settings you may not always have to begin with, it might not be there. If it's not there, you can go to settings at the top here and click world settings and it will pop up there for you. Your details tab is anything you have selected in this viewport. So if you select your character there, all the details for that blueprint is now here for you to mess around with. We'll go through all this at some point. For now it's a little bit too much to go through. Above the details tab is your world outliner. So anything in your map that you can see in this viewport right now is all here. So your cube mesh, which is that box there, the network player start, which is if you have a secondary player it's going to start there. If you have the sky sphere, which is the sky sphere all around us, if I click out here, you can't see it selected because of how big it is. It's around us. If I double click on it, however, it'll take us all the way out and show us the whole thing, which now is going to take me forever to try and zoom in. So what we do from there is we just go to third person character, double click on it, and it'll bring us back in. Beautiful. Alright, so that is the layout. Next video we'll talk about some blueprinting and things like that.